So if you're curious about the lack of shoulder training, just because I got fucking big shoulders, man. Relative to, I'm not saying like Death Star, like freaky size. I'm just saying relative to like my arms. Front delts, I do not need any more work. Just because up here, this upper part, right? Front delts, they're big enough. You could have side delts that are too big. I guess I could see that. But I'd say for the general population, nobody, well, I mean, I've never seen it where I looked at someone and said, holy shit, dude, you have to hit your whole body too, not just your rear delts. I mean, rear delts, that is not a build, or that's not a muscle which anybody is overdeveloping. How do you do rear delts? What should you be doing? Just 3 sets of face pulls at the end of shoulders? I'm not sure that's going to cut it for you. I'm not saying that you have to hit it with as much weight as you physically can. I'm not going to load my rear delts the same way I would chest or triceps. So I'm not just going to be doing light face pulls, 10 reps, maybe get a little bit of a burn. I'm really going to try to load them up as much as I can. There's really only 3 movements that I like for rear delts. I'd say laying face pulls, which we'll get into later, reverse pec deck, classic, and then bent over lateral raises. So if I had to tell you the big 3, I really think that's it. Sometimes if I'm doing laying face pulls and it just feels extra good, I'll just spam those for the whole lift. The whole like 5 or 6 sets or how many I do. And then maybe the next day I would do reverse pec deck instead, or all bent over lateral raises. I'd say your rear delts, it's a pretty simple muscle to hit. Just because your rear delts are kind of a small muscle and you don't want to hurt yourself by going too heavy, doesn't mean that you shouldn't go as heavy as you can, right? Now, I understand that could kind of cause some confusion. When I say as heavy as you can, I mean within the constraints of being able to do a good set, right? Obviously, if I tried to go as heavy as I could with dumbbell curls, then I would just try to do as much weight as I could for 1 rep, probably rip both biceps off, have a pretty bad time. But in the constraint of trying to go as heavy as I can for 8 reps, for 9 reps, then I think that's about the weights that you should be using. I think people kind of forget the fact that you still have to make those sets really hard. Like for me to do a set of dumbbell curls with the 30s for 10 reps and have like another 20 reps in the tank versus a set with the 60s for 10 reps and have that pretty much be failure. I mean, for me, it seems pretty obvious. Which set do you think is better? Basic gists, go as heavy as you can for reps. So in terms of overall load on the rear delts, I really don't know a movement that can beat this. Even though I'm moving my arms like this, the center of my shoulder, where my shoulder joint is sort of locked in position, I don't want that to move at all. Because when your shoulder moves back and forth like this, that's when you're getting a lot of trap activation. So I'm trying to keep my shoulders in the exact same spot, and I'm not trying to pull with my hands, right? When you think about pulling with your hands, I feel like I end up working a ton of forearms and biceps. I'm almost trying to imagine like just sending enough signals to my fingers to hold onto the weight. Honestly, I should probably be using straps. That might make this a little better, but I don't know if I really need to. But I'm trying to just hold onto my weight, like use my fingers as hooks, and I'm not even really imagining pulling the weight towards my face. If I were to kind of close my eyes, I'm kind of imagining that my whole arm is allowed to move free, and I'm just doing a movement like this, right? How heavy should you go? And I'm not necessarily talking about a number. I mean, like, what's your max for a good set? I'd say you should probably not go so heavy that you really have to swing every rep. I'd say as heavy as you could go for legit reps, no swinging, that'll be good. Sometimes people judge the volume of a workout based on doing like maybe 2 or 3 sets per exercise and then moving on. So if you're kind of following that logic, then if you're just doing 1 exercise for side delts, I guess I only need to do like 3 sets and then I'm done. Oh man, I gotta say this, and take this to heart if you're somebody who's doing a real light shoulder day and your shoulders aren't ahead of the game on your build. Do not be afraid to get repetitive. You know, honestly, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to change it up a little bit. But I wouldn't mind sitting there for fucking 10 sets of side laterals if that's what I got to do to stimulate growth.